QLab involves first opening the application. The easiest way to do this is to go to the toolbar and double-click on the icon. Another way to do this is to go to the Apple Finder and search under Applications and find QLab 4.4 in the list. But since we're already opening it, we'll stick with this. If you already have a workspace open, it should be listed in the recents, or you can search for it. If you're creating a new workspace, you want to click on Create New Workspace. Now the workspace opens up. It doesn't have a title. It doesn't have any cues. You could get started adding sound and writing cues right away, but what I recommend is that you do some setup first. Go to the gear. In the General tab, you want to unclick Auto Number New Cues. This way, your cues can be assigned by you to correspond with the light cues that you want to trigger them. In the Audio tab, you want to select the US 16 by 8. It's the interface that speaks to the computer and to the soundboard that handles all the playback in QLab. You want to make sure that your cues are playing over audio patch 1. Going down here, you can ignore video, light, network, Midi. Cue templates is the next thing that we'll look at. We're mostly concerned with audio cues and the behavior of audio cues. So anything you set up in the cue templates menu will apply to all cues that you create. So here in audio trim, you want to bring this down to around -20. In fact, you can click on it and put it at exactly -20. And your audio levels, you want to set as the default of -10. These won't be the exact levels that you want for each cue, but it's a good starting place so you don't blow people's ears out or overtax the system. The other thing you want to check is in fade cues, you want to notice that the duration is only set to 3 seconds. That's pretty speedy and isn't much of a fade, so I like to make it 6 seconds, and that makes it a little more delicate, and then you can finesse from there in each cue. But this is a good starting point. Now you want to go to MIDI controls, and you want to make sure that Use MIDI Show Control is checked, and you want to change your device ID to 1. This information will match the lightboard settings. Once they're paired, they can talk to one another. So you can cue the sound cues from the lightboard, which is what you'll be doing in this project. When you're done with all this, you want to click the Done button. So there we are. We now have 2 cues created. And if we click on them and we look in our audio trim, we'll notice that they have default set to exactly what we want them, -10, -20, and our output audio patch is set as the US 16 by 8. That's how you get started with a project when you're starting from scratch. When you import your projects that you've been working on in the free version, either in the lab or on your own computer, you're going to want to download them to a folder. Mine says Sound Demo. Yours will have your name on it. You want to make sure that inside of that folder are all the audio sources that you used in the project, because there's no audio contained within QLab projects itself. They're all accessed from the files. So if you don't copy those files to the computer, they will not play in your QLab. All right. Mine are copied, so I'm going to do a similar thing and open up this project. Now right away, QLab notices that the audio device that I used to create this is similar, but it's not the same. It's basically saying you didn't use the same version of QLab. So I'm just going to click Done. There's one other thing in the audio levels, you'll notice here that we have all these little zeros. And what that means is that on this line, these are the outputs coming from QLab. And from QLab, they're speaking to our task cam. And each of these is a playback channel in the task cam. Because we're not doing stereo, instead of having a left, right, we need both channels on every channel straight across from these inputs. That will play back to all our levels. However, currently, we're using 7 and 5 and 4 as special speakers. This is audience A, this one is audience B, 3 is audience C. We have reconfigured 4, since we don't have an audience D, E, or F, we have reconfigured 4 to be our sound that plays like it's coming from the couch. 5 is coming from upstage. It is in fact still rooted to E, but we're not using it as an audience speaker. We're using it when we want to imply sound coming from upstage. 6 are my balcony speakers, and 7 is a special speaker down the VOM 10 by Susan's office. Output 8 is currently being set up to monitor in the booth, and I'm only setting that up because I want to play back some of these cues in a later video. So I'm going to keep number 8 engaged, and you can too if you want to monitor from the booth. Okay, then I click done. All my cues still don't have the cross points in the right place. It's because these are assigned on a per cue basis, because you can choose which speakers you want them to go to. Now, the pain in the butt is you can't set this ahead of time. You can, however, change them all by selecting all, and you'll notice that it's selecting all the cues. So it's selecting fade cues, audio cues, stop cues, start cues. But in the case of setting levels, you just want to select only audio cues. Now, you'll notice that these levels did not change. It's because these cues existed. If I created a new cue, it would automatically change because I set it in my cue template. But because these are existing cues, we have to change them. By selecting all and editing to just my audio cues, I can now do that. So here I can select -20, and here I can select -10. Okay, so now all these cues have been reset to my defaults, and I can then go back and adjust each one as I hear it in the space. You'll notice none of the timing got lost. All of my follows and auto continues, those are still in place. Now I can do the same trick, select all, select just the audio, to change all my cross points as well. I'm going to create the same cross points for the same speakers. So it's a little bit of work, but by using the select all and filtering out audio output, you can make that happen a lot quicker. That's the basics of getting started. In the next video, we will discuss how to write cues and how to manipulate sound to get what you want in your project.